festive season and the holidays are here. Welcome to this edition of the Recent News. I want to give you some updates on what we'll be talking about today, and it is about artificial intelligence, aka AI, IoT, the Internet of Things, and what this means for identity and identity solutions. You may know that a lot of what we are talking about is how to restore identity to a group of people whose identity was taken away, and in its place, a whole new different identity. This past October, I attended the Royal Anthropology Institute conference. It was a conference about conservation and how to return to the land and become more sustainable in the future. One of the topics that was discussed on the panel that I shared included artificial intelligence and what that means for the future. What I found most intriguing was that my presentation, or my abstract, which was on white supremacy and the melanin theory, was very much aligned with what some of the other guest speakers had to share. One particular speaker was very dynamic in her presentation, and it had to do with data violence. Yes, data violence has the potential to be a really huge issue as it is already, but it can be even more of an issue in the future. Some of us have heard about false identity or AI systems wrongly identifying people of melanin dominant humans. Basically, because these systems were created not particularly using the prototypes of Africans or melanin dominant humans. They were created ideally either from other nationality of people, ideally Caucasian, probably even Asian. And so the computer, the way that the algorithms are done, it does not yet properly identify or recognize people of African descent, which means there's high potential for the computer wrongly reading or identifying people of melanin hue. There was a study done by Harvard that also identified the implications that this can cause. Now, one of the things that was shared to me by a master's student in artificial intelligence is that typically robots aren't biased. They are not racist. And that's a very important key point to know. So if the robots aren't biased, then where is the bias coming from? It turns out that the bias is coming from the way the programming is happening. Whoever is responsible for the algorithms and the data being placed within these artificial intelligence systems are not factoring in people of color, their genome types, and a lot of the times are programming in bias factors. Some of these bias factors includes names. It can include areas that are known to be high risk or marginalized communities. So in the event that someone, let's say their address is in a marginalized community, these programmers have placed within the system like a marker that can identify / alter or divert opportunities for people of color based on their names as well as address. That's just to name a few of the potentials. Now, when it comes to data violence as well, that was mentioned at this conference, it has to do with similar ideologies with the programming not factoring melanin dominant humans, which means there's unlimited amount of threat that this poses for melanin dominant humans. The world already is dealing with systemic racism and institutional racism. It's challenging to imagine a future where now the racism or the systemic racism or the biases now are going to be done through robots, because robots don't have the ability for reasoning, at least not right now. For them to have that level of reasoning, it's going to take umpteen amount of years before we get that, because these systems are actually learning systems. So with each level of information added into the machine, it learns our behaviors, it learns what we like, it learns all of these words and begins to have a picture of what to deal with. So if, say, 100 years from now, what's programmed into the computer does not best reflect who these melanin dominant people are, well, basically, that means a nation of people without an identity. Now, if their land is already taken away, there's no place to go to, and now they have no identity, these people can be seriously considered at large, maybe, what's that word? Not refugees, but like outlaws. You know, they could be tagged any particular way, however the future might want to take it, especially if we're going to bring in robotic police forces and remove the police and bring in this type of system. So the takeaway from this right now is to really consider the future of AI and what this means for our identity. I'll share with you already, I can see the issues that are happening. One quick story. There was a lady who I met who was a resident, and there's a new notice that goes out based on certain infractions. If they catch you on camera, they will send a fine to you and they will add it to your monthly bill. Well, this woman received one of these infractions with the picture that was supposed to be her along with the bill. She showed this to me and I could see right away that it was not her. And that alone really hit home just how serious this is going to be. And so one of the things that we see very crucial with the Reset community is to ensure that, one, identity is restored, because we're going to need identity more than ever. Without having this solid, to the core, addressed and resolved, it is going to be a problem for the future. And this was also the takeaway from that anthropology conference about the serious risks of data violence and what this could mean for people of color. And so definitely start to consider within your job, your work, your life, and your future for the next generation, what you could do to help circumvent what the risks are going to be, and start to consider how important it is for identity and take part in what it is the Reset community is all about. We do have a pledge that's going out right now to get people in public relations, government, marketing, institutions, and just about within every industry to start to recognize the importance of labeling us in the right way and to start to disregard the names of the past that are very ambiguous and holds no weight. It is going to be a potential danger and it would be a potential risk, and we want to start to circumvent that. That's it for this edition of the Reset News. It's all about the AI, artificial intelligence, and what this means for the future in terms of your identity as well as your freedom, because the two go hand in hand. And if we don't correct this now, it is guaranteed going to be a very huge issue for the future. And our generation has the ability to make these right decisions now that we are in the age of information. Let's use it, and let's use it right. Thanks for watching this edition.